Hello, everyone. I am Kaneisha Grayson, founder and CEO of The Art of Applying. And today we have our amazing client, Lauren, here to share her awesome success story. You're watching the Art of Applying's Client Case Study Series, where we sit down with our clients who have just been accepted into their dream graduate schools. We talk about their stats, acceptances, scholarships, and their advice and encouragement for other applicants just like you. If you're interested in getting my team's expert editing, guidance, and advice on your admissions journey, book a free 15-minute quick call with our team at the link in the description. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more success stories, application tips, advice, and encouragement. Now, back to the video. Good morning, Lauren.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing very well. I'm so excited that you will soon be joining me in my hometown because you have been admitted to
University of Texas, Austin, McCombs.
Wonderful. Awesome. And then, Lauren, are you also admitted through the consortium?
Yes, that's right. So I did it through the consortium.
Awesome. Will you take a minute to just tell us what that even means? What is the consortium and what does it mean for you that you've been accepted to UT McCombs through the consortium?
Sure. So the consortium, as I understand it, is an organization that was started in like the 50s and 60s to help get Black men admitted to business school programs. And since then, it's evolved to be, people from different places and not just men, not just Black men either, but that are, either committed to diversity and equity in business and or are like diverse and equitable candidates themselves. And so my consultant recommended that I apply through them. I didn't know of them ahead of time. And he said, your background and the things that you've worked on up to now are consistent with the values of the consortium. And I think that they would see you as somebody aligned with the kind of person that they want to get into business schools, et cetera, to hopefully, make an impact for the better once you get there and beyond. So I did apply through them. It streamlined the application process for me significantly, which was really helpful. But then in terms of the benefits of the actual consortium, so you can get admitted with either a half tuition fellowship or full tuition fellowship. I did not get one of those from them, but I was admitted for membership into the consortium. So I have access to their resources. And I've already actually had like a couple of meetings with the crew, that's the consortium crew at McCombs, and it's professional development resources. There's a separate orientation for us, et cetera. So that's the short version.
That was so well put. And I actually did not even know the very original deep history of the consortium. So like
I think that's right. But yeah, and I think it was for UNC specifically.
Excellent. Well, we will fact check and figure out what parts of that are right. I'm like, wow, I did not know the deep history. That is amazing. Okay, so now, Lauren, everyone who is watching this video or listening to this interview is gonna want to know your stats. They are going to want to know whatever you're willing to share about your GPA, your test scores, age, school you went to, what you studied, kind of your applicant profile. Another thing I kind of want to say, because I'm actually confused about it myself, and I think other people will want to know, is do you identify as a member of the Black, Indigenous, people of color? Okay, so then tell us about that.
I do not. You are not. Actually, funny story. I said to my consultant, I said, that's lovely. Do you know that I'm white? Just to double check. And he said, yes, I do. And so, no, I do not identify as a member of that community. But given my background, I've worked primarily with people of color and in nonprofit institutions, working on a variety of things, ending mass incarceration, equity in education, et cetera. So that's the reason that he said I would be a good fit.
Absolutely. And I completely agree. So if your consultant hadn't encouraged you to apply through the consortium, it would have been me really trying to push you to do that. So I'm so glad you did. And I am so glad at your result. So with all those things I was saying, whichever of the things that you feel comfortable sharing, tell us about your applicant profile.
Sure. So I am 33. I was 32 at the time of application. I went to a not super prestigious undergrad institution, but I did get a high GPA there. So I have a 3.94 undergrad GPA. Okay. And I took the GMAT twice and the GRE twice. and I could not get the GMAT score that I was looking for. So I switched to the GRE thinking that might be better suited to my skill set. And the scores that I applied with were a 152 quant and 164 verbal.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, do we feel like those are all the relevant stats? Are there other
Let's
things?
see. What did you study in college?
Criminal justice.
Okay, criminal justice. Okay, so we've got a high GPA. We've got a relatively low quant score, high verbal score on the
Because
GRE.
part of why I took, honestly, the GRE is because quant is not my skills. Like that's not my strength. And also, sidebar, why would you need a business degree if you're already good at quant? I mean, I get it, but that was part of my pitch.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, help me get better at this. I understand I'm not good enough. But anyways, the GRE, I thought, because the scores are reported separately as opposed to how the GMAT is reported, I thought if somebody has, literally 3 seconds to just look, at least they're not seeing it as one lower number. It's a low number and a high number.
Yeah, I love that philosophy. And it is extremely common that I recommend clients at the Art of Applying who are struggling to get the score they want on the GMAT to switch to the GRE. And we see a lot of success with that. So you're in a big group of people. So Lauren, what was the application process like before we started working together? What was hard? What wasn't working?
I think I just didn't know where to start. So saying that I had started the application process is probably a generous interpretation of what had happened. I was already studying for the GMAT. I think I had already taken it at least once, if not twice, because I thought that was kind of where I needed to start. If for no other reason than that your scores are good for 5 years, I thought, getting a jump on that made sense. And some of my friends and family asked me if I would be interested in a consultant and thought that it was worth looking into some extra support just because I have some close friends and family that have advanced degrees, but none that had done the business school thing. And I was a little concerned because I thought there's really no guarantee here, which, is what it is. That's life sometimes, but also it's a pretty significant investment, money wise. And then I thought, you know what, the likelihood if this works is that I will also get scholarship money that I wouldn't have gotten before. So I thought, well, if I'm spending a little more upfront to get a lot more off my tuition, it makes sense. So I would say that, that was my decision. That was why. And then when I started to work with y'all, I think that I just gained a lot of clarity around what the process was and what the steps were and what I should be focusing on. And not only that, but just having in moments where I felt like I didn't understand what was going on, or I just wanted to run something past somebody, having a person who I knew I could always talk to made a huge difference. So having a consultant dedicated to me, whose like cell phone number I had, and, obviously I wasn't, hitting them up all the time, but, they knew all the other stuff about me, my profile, et cetera. So they had context when I ran questions past them, et cetera. And, it was easy to access them when I needed support.
Ah, beautiful. I feel like you answered 3 of my next questions, but
I noticed that.
That was a great share. And so it sounds like you found the Art of Applying from maybe the recommendation of some friends, or do you remember how you found us?
I do. I was very anxious about getting into UT because it is my dream school. And I was like, I will be crushed if I do not get in here. And I was Googling really inspirational things like, what is the lowest score you can have on your test scores to still get into UT Austin? And actually, no joke, I watched a couple of the interviews, like what we're doing now. I watched them of other people. And a lot of the people who you videoed, interviewed as success stories were people who had, I don't want to say low because that's not what I mean, but had test scores consistent with mine and had gotten into either their first choice schools or University of Texas specifically.
Awesome. I love it. I'm glad that the interviews are working to help people find us. And
yes, it's part of why I agreed to do this.
Awesome. Well, thank you for agreeing to do it. So what was your experience like on the breakthrough calls? So one thing that's different at the Art of Applying is we don't just have like a little 15-minute free consultation where we try and sell you really hard on buying something. We do have the 15-minute call, but then we have a longer call that's like 60 minutes to 90 minutes where we dive deep into your applicant profile, what's working, what's not working, where you are, where you want to go. What did you think that call would be like, and what was it actually like for you?
Can you clarify for me first? So there was a 15-minute with somebody, and then there was an hour. Which one are you talking about?
The long call.
The long call.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. So the long call was interesting. To your point, it definitely was not a sales pitch, even though I had already started. It still kind of felt like I was like auditioning a little bit, which is funny. And I suppose says something good about y'all and your selectivity, and that you're not just taking people's money to take it. So I felt really listened to. And a lot of times that's not the case. I felt like she really wanted to know who I was and what my motivations were around business school. And so that was really, nobody gets listened to enough ever. And so that was like lovely, just as like, oh, somebody just wants to hear about me. That's great. And then additionally, I felt like the questions were clearly strategic in a way that was helpful to start building a plan, which I appreciated. And I think that I also started to understand the process itself started to take shape by the questions that she was asking, helped me to understand what the direction that we were moving in. So it also helped me that way. And then it made me also, one of the questions is something along the lines of, what do you think are roadblocks for you, or what are your concerns about maybe not getting in? And one of the things that I was concerned about, she said, I actually don't think that's a concern. I understand why you think that, but I think that's actually an asset. So, it's good also to sort of have perspective on what you think might be your weakness.
Lauren, you are such a good interviewee. Like, your responses are very specific, and I appreciate it. And the people watching this appreciate it.
No
and the people listening appreciate it. All right. So was it scary to make the leap to decide to work with us? You did mention earlier that it is an investment and there are no guarantees. What fears, doubts, concerns, or hesitations did you have with moving forward?
All of applying to business school was scary for me, not in the way that I felt like I couldn't do it, but in the way that it's a lot to do. And frankly, when I was applying to undergrad and other things that I've done in my life, applying to jobs or applying to undergrad, I always felt like there were lots of different things that I could be happy doing, or lots of different places I could be happy going. And that was not the case with business school. It was like UT or die. So it was incredibly vulnerable for me to really prioritize and say out loud how badly I wanted this one thing to happen, and to say, I'm not going to business school if I don't get in. And I literally said multiple times, I said, I will apply as many times as it takes for me to get in, but I'm not going to feel good if I don't get in the first time. So that was scary for me. But specifically, working with y'all, I felt like I'd made an informed decision about it. The only thing was just, it's money, and that's, a finite resource. So that was the only part that really felt a little bit scary for me, but that is what it is.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. One thing I want to circle back to is you mentioned that you were hoping to get a scholarship, and that didn't quite happen. But I am thinking that the amount that you invested to work with us, you are definitely going to get that back in terms of ease of recruiting by being in the consortium. So I just kind of wanted to give you that words of affirmation that, like, from years past, the kinds of offers that our clients have gotten after OP weekend and them interviewing for summer internships and then full-time, that will be what you invested to work with us, will be a fraction of your signing bonus.
So I agree with you, and I have heard the same, but to clarify, I did not get a fellowship from Consortium, but Forte offered me a fellowship as well, and I got $40,000 a year from them. So that's amazing. Actually, you know what? I should double check. I'm sorry, 20,000.
Oh, okay. Still, that's amazing.
I mean, that's a third of the cost to go to school. So I already made back what I spent.
You absolutely did. You absolutely did. So 20K a year, 40K, you got 40K?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Wow. Lighting me up. Okay. So I want to know, what was your favorite part about working with the Art of Applying? I remember you said earlier in the interview that you really enjoyed having someone available to you whenever you had a question. Is it that? If so, elaborate on that, or just what was your favorite part?
I think that having I know everybody doesn't get this, but having somebody to work with who went to McCombs, super helpful. And then having somebody who I could reach out to, like I said, having the recommendation of how to apply, the vehicle to use, i.e., the consortium application, super helpful, would not have come up otherwise. And additionally, though, I think that people say this to you all the time, like even regardless of what school, I think they say, we just want to know who you are. We don't want you to be trying to show us what you think we want to hear, you think we want to know. I really felt like my consultant was constantly refining my story and constantly understanding me better to the point where I could recite in my sleep. I did a video essay for my, application, but I could have said that speech without thinking about it because it was just what I believe in, what I think and who I am. It was exactly something that I could have said off the cuff, even though I wrote it down and practiced it and all of that. So I think just getting really clear on who I am and my story, and then like why a business school would be lucky to have me because of that, not because of who my scores or my ambitions or whatever, but like understanding who I am as a person and making that the reason why somebody should accept me.
Oh, I love it. And I love that you brought up that authenticity and not trying to be someone else. That's a very, very core part of the way we work with clients at the Art of Applying. Is, to me, it's untenable to try and be a different person from McCombs, then Yale, then Cornell. Like, no, do not try and mind read what the admissions committee you think are looking for based on the stereotype of the school. Like, be your most self-expressed, clear, confident version of yourself. And then you will end up, that combined with, submitting an excellent application, like you'll end up where you belong.
Yeah, that's right. And I think also, for example, when I got invited to interview at McCombs, one of the questions that I was told would likely be asked is, where do you want to work after?
Mm-hmm.
If you're accepted here, where do you want to work after? And I said to my consultant, I don't have a target company because I don't. And I have a target function and I want to get into social impact and corporate social responsibility. So having that conversation, he said, I understand that you can't really say that you don't have a target company, and not because it's not true, but just because that's not really answering their question. So even that, he didn't say, don't say that. What he said was, say exactly what you just said to me. I don't have a target company, I have a target function, and then do some research on some companies that have really strong social impact, corporate social responsibility programs, and say, even though I don't have a target company, these are some companies that I feel are places where I could have the function that I want, and answered it that way. And that was super authentic to me, but also combined the expertise that the consultant brings in terms of, hey, here's how you need to answer this question without making it untrue.
Mm-hmm. And Austin is booming. So you are going to have a lot of opportunities. Just off the top of my head, I'm thinking Dell, Google, Meta is here, Amazon's here, Oracle's here, Tesla's coming. Like, yeah, you're going to have a lot of opportunity to explore your ideal function within some great companies. So very excited for you about that. And Lauren, you've already mentioned earlier that the GMAT was really challenging for you and you weren't making the progress you wanted, and that you switched to the GRE. What would you say to someone who's watching your interview or listening to your interview and they say, okay, the Art of Applying sounds great. I think I'll reach out at some point, but I want to get a really strong test score before we start working together. I'll slay the test and then I'll work on my application.
I would say I did both. So I worked on mine both before and during. And I think that, it depends how much time you have and where you want to dedicate your time and your resources. And I understand that, but having somebody to talk to about it and cheer you on during it definitely does not hurt. I was able to study and take the test while I was a client. And I just spent less time on other things during that season. So, I wasn't like writing essays during that time. I was just studying, but it was still helpful to have support within the context of the whole application process, even though I was working only on the test score. And I would also say, as somebody who did not hit the minimum test score that y'all recommended, obviously, you don't always need to get to a specific place. So don't sit around waiting for something to happen that might not.
Very well put. I love the measured, balanced response. Yeah. And sharing your bothness of how you approach the test. And just for everybody watching and listening, the minimum test score that Lauren is referring to is every client that we work with at the Art of Applying, they get a customized minimum test score based on what they studied, where they went to college, where they're trying to go, their cultural background, their work background, and it's a specific score to them. So it's a specific GMAT score and then a specific breakdown on the GRE that we basically, with that minimum test score, we're saying this is the score we would like for you to get into at least one of your schools. And so Lauren didn't even hit her minimum test score and got into her dream school and got $40,000 and admitted to the consortium. So that is an ideal outcome. And I would say that that's because you worked so diligently and consistently on your application over time instead of in a little truncated period of time.
Yeah.
And so, Lauren, what have you learned about yourself and or how have you grown as a result of going through this application process with us?
To go back to what I said before about just like refining my story and getting clear on my goals, I think that also the questions that were asked to figure out, what we should focus on for my essay, what, I would bring to McCombs, et cetera, those things really helped me to clarify for myself. In addition to for my consultant and for the admissions committee, why I want to do this. So, it reminded me of why I wanted to do this and why it's important to me. So, if those things are there for you, they will come to the surface during this process and you will stay in a space where you are reminded of your end goal and why it's important to you instead of just feeling beat down by, I got to a point where I was looking at my essays and I could not even see the words anymore. So it's helpful to have, that as your sort of to center you while you're going through the not so fun stuff and you're, editing your essay for the 8th time or whatever it is. So I definitely just learned and was reminded to keep, my like more macro goals at the center. And then also I think I learned like I can do whatever I put my mind to. And, it's about like, do you really want to do this? And if you do, then you'll do it. Right. So I think just being reminded that it was so daunting at first, and I knew it was daunting, and that didn't change. It stayed daunting throughout, but now it's done and I'm in, and that's a great feeling.
Absolutely. It's done. You're in, and you're into the consortium and 40K. I'm so happy for you.
I'm happy for me too.
Yes. So Lauren, what's next for you in your application matriculation process?
Yep. So I am going to start at UT in August. So I don't really have anything else to do. I have, my deposits submitted and I'll do the consortium OP in June. And then, I got to be on campus by August 1st.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit, what does OP mean? And as far as you know, what happens there?
Yeah, excellent question, because I don't know that I'm the person for this, but orientation program is what it stands for. And as I understand it, it's like 4-day recruiting fest. And there are lots of people who said that they leave their OP with that, with an internship for their first year summer already in place, which is crazy to me. I don't think I want that. I don't think I will feel like I know enough about it yet, but it's awesome that if you want that, you can leave before you even start class. You know what you're doing for the summer between year 1 and year 2.
Yeah, I push back because I'm like, if you already know that your dream industry is CSR, and if there is any kind of Fortune 500 CSR internship, I would be like, interview for it and gobble it up and take it. Because the kind of like impact investing, social impact, social enterprise, all that venture philanthropy space is super hot right now. And so to be able to land one of those internships before school even starts, before they've even had permission to speak to other MBA students. That's the thing. They will not have even had permission by the schools to be in contact with MBA students for weeks, weeks before or after you will have met them. Grab it. I'm not saying
steered me wrong yet. So I will definitely take that into account.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying like settle for just like take anything or whatever, but like just a little micro story is one of our clients years ago got an internship offer from Amazon during OP weekend, and he took it. And by taking it, it meant that his entire first semester, he could just focus on the other parts of the business school pie. Socializing, his classes, and actually sleeping. And because the quarter, because the quarter of the pie of recruiting was already taken care of. He did end up going back to Amazon. I believe he got a full-time offer to go back, actually re-engage the art of applying because he wasn't sure if he should do that or VC. We worked together. He decided to go the VC route, and now he's like a wildly happy, fabulous venture capitalist. So, that's a result of all his hard work, but also that seed of ease with recruiting started at OP. Yeah. So I'm very enthusiastic about making the most of OP, not in an anxious, scared way, but just like just like you said, anything you put your mind to, just kind of have that in your mind that if there are CSR opportunities that are really good, like they're for you.
Great. I love it.
Mm-hmm. So now that you've gotten into your dream school, what's going to change, improve, or open up in your life or career?
Sure. So we didn't really talk about my career background prior to what I'm doing next, but I've been in the nonprofit industry my whole career. So I've worked with people who are housing insecure, people who are formerly incarcerated, and now I work with students doing, I work at a school. I run the fundraising department for an inner city school, and it's wonderful and I've been really happy, but I always for 10 years or something have wanted to do CSR and social impact, and I didn't know how to make that transition or make that jump. And business school felt like a good way to transition sectors. Like going from nonprofit to private sector just felt really daunting to me. Mm-hmm. Not that I couldn't have done it, but I wanted to do it in an intentional way. So just being able to make that sector transition, I think, is something I definitely would not have been able to do before, or at least not in the way I wanted to. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I also really used this, business school opportunity as a way to move. So I was looking also to move. And so being in a new geography that I've chosen really intentionally and having the support of business school to transition sectors, I think those are the two big things.
Those are two huge things. Welcome to Austin. So, Lauren, when you first signed up, we asked you who the first 3 people you would tell when you got into your dream school, and you said my best friend, my mom, and my dad. So I would love to hear what happened when you told mom, dad, and your best friend that you got into UT.
Oh, I mean, everybody was very happy. They knew how much it was just something that I'd worked on for literally years and something that was really important to me. So everybody was, over the moon, already asking me, let's schedule a visit, all of that. So yeah, everybody was thrilled, and it was really, really fun to be able to share that with the people who had gone through the process with me, essentially.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love hearing about celebration. All right, Lauren, this was amazing. What do you want to say to either Lauren back then or the people who are going to be watching your video feeling the way you were feeling?
Well, if you are the person who, like me, was Googling what is the lowest test score I can get and still get into my dream school, and you found this video because of that, it's real, and I'm a real person, and it's a legit thing. So highly recommend. That's my my short, succinct advice. Highly recommend.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Are you ready to take your application process to the next level? The Art of Applying helps you get into the graduate school of your dreams and get money to pay for it. Book a free quick call from the link in the description to get started. And subscribe to our channel for more application tips and success stories.